Welcome to a new series. In this series, we are going to take a look at a lot of websites and try to inherit their best properties. Now, I'm calling this Steal This Design series, yeah, Improve Your Design Taste series, whatever. But we are going to look at a lot of websites and we are trying to learn from them. In this series of videos, which we are starting with this one right now, we're going to learn a lot. We are going to take at a lot of websites and break down their design decisions, why they used a certain thing, and how you can learn from it, how you can build your own, and how you can inherit some of the qualities to actually work upon your skills as well. The goal of this series is simple: to help you better equip with a design taste of your own, acquired taste, because once you start replicating a lot of other people's work, not for resharing it, but for learning, you actually learn a lot. And once you learn a lot, you can inherit their properties and their craft you can learn from. Starting off, we've got this simple website, and I love this website. Not that simple actually, but great resource for you to learn. And it is the iPhone website or the Apple website. Now, let's start off with the series. Let's start to drill down what are the different aspects of this website. And we are going to create one component or one section from this website, which is this one, which I really like. And this we are going to recreate. Now, this has got a lot of things going on. Let's start off with the basics. Typography: bold font, single line, and a lot of white spaces. So if I have to drill Apple's website down, I will drill it down to a few things. First, everywhere in the website you will see bold and black colors, which actually helps it to stand out. Because two, there are a lot of clever white space used, because this website is not feeling empty, but then most of this is actually empty. For example, if you see here, or a lot of space around any and every section. For example, if I click on here, you see a lot of white spaces here. Again, typography matters. Third is beautiful images, assets. For example, this iPhone, this lady here, this chip, again, this iPhone, everything, every illustration is clean. It is not cluttered. For example, if you take a look at this card, title, description, and a cover, clean, super simple, easy to look at, feels natively well designed because typography and spacing are on point. Last thing that I want to talk about is the easing of the curves. For example, if I click here, it is slow, it takes its time, hence it feels a bit premium. It is not a fast moving startup. It is not a YC backed company or a SaaS startup. It is a full-fledged premium service of products which they are offering. Hence, they have put it slow. Slow gives you a feeling of premium, and the blur at the background you see, that is also giving a bit of premium feel to the website. Hence, we are going to create exactly this section because I'll be able to explain all of these here in a better way. Cool. Now, I really love this website. In the next set of websites, we are also going to drill down linear, raycast, Amy, name any website which you feel is great, and I'll be happy to drill down the nitty-gritties of the website, and I'll be able to teach and code some components from that so that you can also learn a thing or two about what actually is better, because it is better to look at a designer's work and try to copy it and learn from it rather than you inventing it from the ground up. It's going to take a lot of time. I'm not sure if that works as well, because my learnings come from a lot of replication from other people's work, not to redistribute it, but to actually learn from it. Hence, we are going to start creating this card. And for that, I have my demo right over here. Now, I already went ahead and copied all of these images. I have it into my code editor. So I'll really quickly copy paste these items. I'll go to the demo component and I'll call it items here. This is nothing but title, description, and the image. Image I already have in my public folder. So title, description, and image. Let's go ahead and start creating our component. For this, I'll call it section. That is fine. And the class would be width, full, overflow, hidden, so that our cards don't go out of proportion, and a bit of padding, py32, so our demo, which is here, is rightly aligned. All right, I'll go ahead and inside, I'll create another div for the section heading, mx auto max width 6xl, and what do I need padding? px4 would do, and I'll give it an h2 tag. I'll call it get to know your iPhone, and this is what you see. I have to make it a bit bolder so that it is visible. So text 5xl, font bold, MB do I need? Now you see, this is what you get. This is what we have here. Now it is, I think, SF font of Max, which they have, not sure. SF Pro display, we don't have access to this. So closest I can get to is Inter or UI Sans Serif, which is my own font, but that would do for now. I also want to have maybe lighter font. This looks better. So tracking tight gets the letters together. Not sure if there is tracking tight over here. G and A. I think it is tighter. So if I go here, letter spacing is minus 0.28 pixels. So it is tighter. Otherwise, it would have been more spread out. These are the things that you have to focus. These are the things that you have to put your time on. Tracking, line spacing, easing curves. All of these combined together will give you great results. AI doesn't spend that much of time onto these single individualistic smaller details. If you do, your designs will stand out. It'll look better. It'll look coherent because you actually spent the time to actually do it. Cool. Moving on to the card section of it. First, I'll lay out all the cards and then we are going to position them from the left and the right. We'll give some padding. And for that, we are going to do it now. Again, another div and I'll call it flex gap 4 overflow x auto because I want them to overflow. PB2 would work and some other class names that I'll be putting later on. For now, I can just convert it to a template string because I need some of the paddings, but before that I want to actually style the container which we have. For that I need items.map item index and I'm going to spit out a div. Key would be item.title. All right, we'll keep it really simple. Format document so that it's visible better. Item.title. I want the cards to be of a certain style. Rounded 3XL would do H. I think I can do 180. 180 width can be 100. I don't want them to shrink. Snapping I'll do later on. And now once I have this, I also want to have overflow hidden so that the images don't overflow. Now I'll have an image here. Item.image. Alt would be item.title. Class name would be so that we need the entire image to span the entire container. So it will be absolute inset 0 size full object cover. Now we have the image and maybe I also want a bit of padding over here. I'm not sure. Let us see what do we have over here. Oh, that's a lot. I didn't mark it as relative or what. This has to be relative. All right, we have the images. This looks nice, but I see scroll bar at the bottom. If you see, there is a scroll bar, which I do not want. So what I'll do is onto the container where we have PB2, I'll do scroll bar width would be none. For now, this will do. There is no overflow at the bottom, so that is fine. But here we can scroll. Now, you see, we have the images and we can scroll. We need some padding to align this part with respect to this part, but we'll do it at the last. That it's nice and easy. Awesome. What else do we have? We have title and description over here. So what I'll do is div class name would be relative z10. That's on top of the stack. Flex call gap 3. It'll be h2 item.title and it'll be a p tag item.description. I'll give it a class name of text XL font medium text white, and this will be text 3XL font bold text white text balance. So you see this, maybe I can give it a bit of padding p10 so it is nicely centered. Now if you see over here, almost we've got there. Maybe the images are not aligning properly. This is nice. Maybe I can reduce the opacity of it to be 70. You see this is more muted, so I can maybe make it 80. This also comes under tasteful. Everything is tasteful over here. So this is what you have. Maybe Excel is a bit more. Maybe base would work. Yeah, that feels better. So this is what the cards you have. But one more thing that I wanted to notice, they're starting from here, going till here. So they have some gutter onto the left and onto the right. And that is exactly what I want to work with also. Now this can be a bit tricky. If you try it with paddings, it won't work. If you give padding left to the first one or to the last one, won't work. You have to calculate how much do you want it to pad actually. And that comes with scroll snapping also, because if you see, if I leave this over here, it snaps to the nearest card available. For example, if I release it right over here, it will snap to the next one. This is called scroll snapping. Snap X, snap Y. Basically, the child element snaps to a certain position and you can do it with scroll X or scroll Y. The way you can do it here is you mark it as snap X and snap mandatory, and to every other card item, you also have one class of snap start. Where do you actually want it to snap? So once I go back here, see, it is snapping. Now, by default, it is snapping to the edge of the container because the entire container is snapping. If I release it here, it snaps to the edge. But if I release it here, the leftmost card will move on to the rightmost and will snap it to the start. That is what this start is for, because snap start. No way I can do it for you. By the way, you have to do it yourself because it can be a bit tricky. And the way you can do it is simply by adding snap X and snap mandatory class and define where you want it to snap. If I make it snap end, it will snap it to the end of the content of the card. But we want it to snap start, so it will snap it to the start. Now we need to put in some paddings around of this container. For that, I'll have to write separate class. So remember, we left some space over here for you to actually add some of the classes. I'll call it end inset, which are the classes that we want to add. I'll keep it simply 2 or 3 classes that I want to work with. First, I'll write it down and then I'll explain it to you. Why are we doing it a certain way? 100 viewport width minus 72 rem. Max width is 6 XL, which calculates to 72 rem. Essentially, you want the padding left to actually start from where the get to know your iPhone text is starting, and the remaining is the gutter width. Basically, this expression right over here tells the semantic to start from here. Now, scroll does the same thing, except if we don't have scroll, we'll just have padding, but it won't scroll it. The initial position won't be the same one, because if I remove this, just have this, you see, we have that padding over here. It is there. But if we release it, it snapped to the original position. We want the scroll position also to be starting one. So we have this right over here. This is basically the calculation of how you can make it start. We also want PR also, because once I scroll past this, right, we don't have any space at the right side of it. So we also want padding right to get applied, so that once we have this in place, you get these nice cards. The last thing to do here is add an icon, which is loose side icon. I can just go ahead and copy paste the SVG from the website itself as well. Won't matter much. But the crux of this component is this: snap to position and have some easing going on. Now, if you notice, there is some hover effect also going on. I can simply create it a motion div instead. At last we meet. And while hover, scale 1.02. What, I don't have use client or what? Use client. Okay, there is some overflow here, which I maybe don't want. For that, overflow auto is getting cut off, man. Maybe I can have EY12. See? But the transition is not that good. I'll fix that. But first, I want to get this icon over here really quickly. I will take this little beauty, SVG. I'll copy this. All right. I'll come back here. I'll call this const icon, return this SVG. Class name would be size 4. That will do. I don't want to do much with it, except I want to position it. Class name barabar size absolute right 4 bottom 4 rounded full BG white, and I want to have this icon over here. Once I have this, don't see it basically because at 20, and now I see this icon is not that well aligned because no flex. Cool. Maybe I can increase the icon size to 10. All right, we have this icon. Maybe I can increase the icon size to 16. It's a bit bigger. That's a lot. 12 would work. So it's a bit bigger. And you see these icons like you see it over here. But the transition is not good. Transition is abrupt. And I want you to focus on transitions a lot. Easing curves, transitions, spring animations, everything works. That is what we are going to do right over here. Because what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to exactly replicate the last minute detail that the designer or design engineer or the developer has put into these cards. Because that is what makes the difference. That is what this series is all about, putting in the right amount of time and efforts into these small little details so your design stand out. Hence, we are going to do exactly that. I'm going to call it card. Type would be spring as const so that TypeScript doesn't cry. Stiffness maybe 140. Damping would be 32. I'm just hitting trialing out of this. And transition would be can't transition. See, it's a bit jittery, which I don't want. Maybe 300. This is decent, sort of similar, not bad. If you look closely, it is similar. It's a bit faster. I can just ask AI, make it a bit slower. Let's see what we come up with. Increase the damping, but then there is a jitter, which I don't want. So I'll make it 300. Again, a jitter. I have something which you guys don't have, and it's called not into this editor, man. Again, hit and trial 200. What if I do damping 10? Damping 50. That's a lot. 25, 30. I'm making it jittery. 25 is fine. Maybe I can play with stiffness a bit. 100, and this can go to 15. Now this is nice and slow. I like this. And this actually has to be a button. All right, we have everything back in place. Now we have this last piece of the puzzle is once you click on it, it has to be cursor pointer. Once you click on it, you have to open this. And this is a tedious bit of a spring animation right over here. I really don't want to set the details on this one because this, again, is a card with a lot of text, a lot of white spaces, a lot of good images that we already covered. I just want to focus on the opening and closing transition of this card. So that is what I'm exactly going to do right now. I'll maintain a state, const open set open is equal to use state. Initially it will be false, and this would be on click. Set open is going to be true. This is going to be relative, and if open div class name would be fixed bg black by 10 inset 0 size full. I want to see if this works. Once I click, you see this come into picture, exactly what I wanted. Now I want it to be a motion div and I want to be a Z50. So it is on top of everything. BG can be a bit darker, maybe 50. Now you see that, and inside of it, I first want it to be a motion.div. All right, how do we have it here? Oh, it is gradual filter. Awesome. This is nice. This is such a nice effect. But before that, we are going to create functionality first. So this will be width would be, let's say 80 viewport width. Height would be, let's say 200 viewport height. BG white MX auto rounded 3XL P20. And once you have this, I want to see how it looks. Here we go. What the is wrong with you? Not this, bro. It didn't convert it to a motion div. Cool. Now once I click over here, you see this, which is okay for now. We can do empty 20, which is also fine. We can maybe do 80 ki jagah 70, which is also fine. And you see this background is scrolling, which I don't want. I want the content to scroll, and it can have overflow by auto. Not even this. I can just ask maybe AI to do it. But for now, this is going to work because I'm just going to focus on the transitions right now. I'll have a close button, which is icon. I'll call it relative. I'll call it this. And I want it at the top right. See this. I can maybe rotate 45 so that it looks like a cross. What else do we have over here? We had a black background. So I probably need to pass a class over here, not bg white, bg black, and I need to pass in props and remove it from here. Props react svg props, class name would be size 12. Just pass in props, bro, don't cry. And class name would be text white. Don't see it yet, probably because stroke white, fill white. Now I see it. Stroke 2 pixels, 1 pixel. Stroke width I need to change. Not able to do it somehow, but I can live with this. That is also fine. I can get rid of this, and this can be a button. On click, be set open false. Once I click over here, it would close. Exactly what I wanted. And what I can do here is I can maybe align it a bit better because it's Apple, yo. All right, and has to be cursor pointer, right? Points. Now you have this. Now all I want to focus on over here is just the transition. So let's do it. Initial opacity 0, animate opacity 1, exit opacity 0, and it will be under animate presence so that we can have exit animations as well. And format document duration. Probably I want a separate duration. I'll call it modal transition. I'll keep it the same for now. And if I have to pass transition over here, let's see how this works. Click. Nice little animation. Nice, but it can be a bit slower. You see here, I think this works as well. First it blurs out and then the white thing comes up. So if you drill it down, click, the blur happens, black happens, and then the white box comes in. Blur, white box. Right now in our case, everything is happening at the same time. We probably need to delay it a bit. So that is what we are going to do. And we are going to have, where is that fixed? Once I open it, drop blur happens. I want it to be really, really slow. So I want to convert this to a motion.div, and it will be having initial opacity 0, opacity 1, modal transition. I also want to pass in delay of 0.2. Once we have this, you see, click, and then it goes off. And this can have shadow of 2XL. So there are nice shadows around it. So it stands out. If you can scroll also at the back, so you'll be able to see it. It is probably not fixed. It is probably sticky so that we can have this, I don't know what sort of this thing, not sticky, totally fixed by. But yeah, you get the point. Now I can go ahead and draw all of this for you, but I won't. That is your task. My job was to explain how these animations are going to work. And we have nice little cards over here. Hover, it works. Scroll, it snaps. Nice little card animations that we have over here. You can also do layout animations over here, but that will be an overkill for this series or this video specifically. And once you have this nice little animations going on, you can go ahead and tweak the transition of this model transition. Maybe make it a bit more slower. I don't know, play with it however you want to do it. This is a bit more slower, more premium. I like this as well. This works. This is a nice little transition. So this is how you create these Apple cards. And I had to drill down a lot of thought process into it because I have the eye for design now, I feel. And I feel my job is to now teach you how to actually catch those intricate details. This was my try with the first video in the series. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll be coming up with more breakdowns of websites like Linear, Vercel, Amy, Tab. There are many to actually tinker with. That is what we are going to do in this series. So make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop in the comments what do you want me to talk about next in this series, and I'll be happy to do so. English, Hindi, whatever you prefer, do drop in your suggestions in the comments and I'll be happy to address them. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. तब तक के लिए bye. जय हिंद. बहुत काम करो, बहुत मेहनत करो. ये सीरीज देखो, डिजाइन सेंस कर देंगे एक ना अपना. नेक्स्ट वीडियो मिलता हूँ.